Hi guys, Joe here and welcome back to Winners and Losers. Today we're going to be analysing all of the quarter-final fixtures from Euro 2016 that have just gone. As ever, today I'm joined by Patrick van Straten. Pato, where are we starting, mate?
Well, the first game we're going to go with is France versus Iceland. France knocked out Iceland 5-2 to go into the semi-finals and face a match-up with Germany. Now, it was kind of an interesting game. It was very, very open. Iceland looked pretty tired, I have to say. They're actually the first team in Euros history to go unchanged in their first 5 games, and it was starting to show they don't have that depth. France were amazing in attack, really devastating, cut through that Icelandic defence, but they looked a little bit shaky at the back, and I think if I were a French fan, I'd be worried going to face Germany. But, Joe, who do you think were the outstanding players in this game?
Well, I think Olivier Giroud had yet another fantastic game. That's now 10 goals in his last 9 starts for France. He looked deadly aerially, he was very good on the floor as well, and he worked back. He even made 4 tackles in this game, which is very impressive for a striker. I also thought he linked up fantastically well with Antoine Griezmann. Griezmann, yet again, showing why everybody rates him so highly. That's now 6 goals he's been involved in, 4 goals, 2 assists he's got at this tournament. He looks deadly. Giroud's also on 4 goals, so it's going to be a bit of a straight shootout for that golden boot now between Giroud and Griezmann potentially. Not sure who's going to get it. I would put my hat on Olivier Giroud. He's playing really well.
Oh, well, I'd have to put my money on Antoine Griezmann. The way he took that goal, running through, just chipped it over the keeper. It was beautiful, and he registered a couple of assists as well. I thought he was maybe the best player on the pitch last night. It was the first time that somebody's really overshadowed Dimitri Payet in this tournament. But I do feel a bit sorry for Iceland. They did put France under a lot of pressure. Once again, we saw their brilliant set-piece routines they've got from throw-ins, similar to the one they scored against England. They had another one this time, cleared by Hugo Lloris. He made a couple of fantastic saves. And while Iceland scored 2, they could have maybe had a couple more. It was that sort of game. So we're sorry to say goodbye to the Vikings, but the French will see you in the semi-finals.
The next game we're going to be analysing is Germany 1, Italy 1. Of course, Germany won 6-5 on penalties. One of the worst penalty shootouts, I'm sure you'll agree, Pato, in Euro history. Nobody could hit the target. However, the game itself was super intriguing. Antonio Conte versus Jogi Löw, both operating with a 3-5-2 system, a real chess match in that first half. Very much cancelled each other out. And of course, Italy's fantastic defence stood strong against a very strong German attack. One of the games of the tournament, maybe, some have said, because of the tactical intrigue surrounding it. However, it lacked that killer instinct and that killer punch. What did you make of it, Pato?
Well, I thought that Germany were broadly the better side, but only by a small distance. I thought that interesting that they changed to this kind of slightly unfamiliar 3-5-2 system, though I gather they have played with 3 at the back during some of the tournament warm-up games. But they pretty much kind of annulled the Italian attack. I thought that after Germany scored, after Mesut Ozil scored, he then looked very dangerous for a short period. He was dropping into space in front of the back line, finding a lot of the ball and really setting up some interesting half chances. And it made me think, why can't Italy find a place for Lorenzo Insigne in this squad? They saw how Ozil was causing problems when he dropped into that space in front of the defensive line, and I thought that Insigne could maybe have done the same thing against a German backline which, whilst very talented, perhaps wasn't having its best night, with Jerome Boateng making a particularly interesting ballerina pose which led to the penalty that Bonucci put away.
Yeah, Jerome Boateng has had an absolute nightmare. No need for his arms to be up that high. Definite penalty. And Bonucci, the king, stepped up, slotted it away. That was actually his first penalty in professional football. Such a brave decision from Antonio Conte, but it didn't pay off. In the end, Italy, as they usually do actually, lost in a penalty shootout. That is actually the 7th they've lost at international tournament football, the most of any side, more than England. Yet we didn't believe it either, but it actually happened. And some of these penalties on the day were appalling. Bastian Schweinsteiger, an experienced international footballer, played at some of the biggest games in the world. What a shocker he had, an absolute nightmare with that penalty. Graziano Pella, quite what he's doing. We all know he loves a Panenka. I don't know whether he's tried it and bottled it or he's just dragged it. Very strange. Simeon Zaza brought on specifically to take a penalty. His first touch was from the spot. Deary me, what was that run up? Absolutely no need for it. Thomas Muller, bottleless, really looked bottleless. And when Matteo Darmian placed the ball down, I knew he was going to miss. Absolutely shocking display from Matteo Darmian. And the Germans, as they usually do, went through a penalty shootout. The last one they lost was all the way back in 1976. So when the ball was put on the spot, it came as no surprise that the Germans went through, Petter.
Well, yeah, no surprise at all, though they do have some problems to face for the semi-final. Mario Gomez picked up an injury which will rule him out of the rest of the tournament. Sami Khedira looks to be in a bad way as well, and Mats Hummels picked up a yellow card suspension, so he won't be there either. So it could be a pretty interesting lineup that Germany put out when they face France in the semi-final. Our third game of the quarter-final stage was Poland versus Portugal. They drew 1-1 in normal time before Portugal triumphed on penalties. Cristiano Ronaldo surprisingly took the first penalty, absolutely leathered it into the back of the net, and actually Portugal scored all of theirs while Błaszczykowski missed for Poland. He's been directly involved in all 5 of Poland's last few goals at the European Championship, this tournament and the last, and so it was sad to see him defeated in this manner. Poland actually didn't trail for a single minute throughout the whole competition, but they're still on a plane or train home. I don't really care which.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say it wasn't the most entertaining game as usual with Portugal. However, they do know how to grind out a result, don't they? Last 6 games at the Euros have all been draws for Portugal now. However, at the 7 European Championships they've got to, they've reached 5 semi-finals. That is very, very impressive for the Portuguese. And Cristiano Ronaldo, as you briefly mentioned then, still yet to fire into real life onto the pitch, still yet to find his goal-scoring boots. And when that happens, if that happens against Wales, Portugal could be very dangerous. And Renato Sanches, of course, looks a threat as well. He's a real dynamo in that midfield for Portugal. Links defence with attack very efficiently. He's very, very aggressive in the tackle. Scored a nice goal, took a little deflection, but he does become the youngest goal scorer at a Euro knockout round in history. Very, very well done, Renato. You look fantastic.
Well, yeah, we were really, really impressed by him. He does still look a little bit raw, gave the ball away quite a bit, but there was a really clever adjustment by Portugal. They saw that early on, Cedric Suarez was getting absolutely hammered, made a horrible error to let Grosicki go through and set up Lewandowski's goal after just 1 minute and 40 seconds. So Renato Sanches was moved over to the right, used a lot of that pace and that tackling ability Joe was talking about to really cover for the right back. And it was a really clever, adept tactical change by Fernando Santos. We're really impressed by the Portuguese kind of adaptation to their opponents during this competition.
But do you guys at home see Cristiano Ronaldo making a second Euros final? He did it in his first ever one. Will he do it in his last? Let us know what you think in the comments below. The final quarter-final we're going to be talking about is, of course, Wales beating Belgium 3-1. An amazing day for Chris Coleman, for Gareth Bale and for Aaron Ramsey. The whole team really galvanised behind the manager for this one. Came back from 1-0 down, of course, that Radia Nainggolan screamer, and came back to win. An amazing day for Wales and an amazing day for the whole nation, Patter.
Yeah, but Belgium were not terribly impressive. This is actually one of the youngest teams ever to play in the Euros. It was the 4th youngest starting lineup in the Euros and the youngest since 1968. Nainggolan, as Joe said, scored an absolutely unbelievable goal. And there was a lot of early pressure from Belgium, but they couldn't quite make it tell. And then in defence, as we've said throughout the tournament, all over the place. No connection between the defence and the midfield. Tons of space in the middle of the park, which is not great when you're playing against Gareth Bale, who's pretty good at running into space. It's kind of what he does for his whole career. But I was really, really impressed by how Robson-Kanu, he sent 3 defenders to the shops. It was an incredible Cruyff turn. Robbie Savage, I think, had a stroke in the middle of it. It was unbelievable. And Joe, you were pretty impressed by the Welsh performance.
Yeah, Wales were absolutely fantastic on the day. I have to take my hat off to them, even as an Englishman. What a performance. They really battled. Aaron Ramsey in the centre of the park was fabulous all day, as he has been all tournament. He's really up there for me, alongside the likes of Dimitri Payet, as potential players of the tournament. He's now got 4 assists and a goal. He looks really dynamic, which is something he's potentially missed at times at Arsenal. He's biting into tackles. However, Aaron Ramsey did pick up a yellow card in this one, meaning he's going to miss the semi-final. That's going to be a massive, massive hole for Chris Coleman to fill. It's like that Johnny Williams is going to come in to the centre of the park and buzz about in there. Another player, Davis, centre half, that back 3 that Chris Coleman operates with, is going to be falling apart slightly without Davis on that left-hand side. We know he's naturally a left-back at Tottenham Hotspur, so he's adept at playing on the left-hand side, something that he doesn't really have a centre-back to do. So whether Chris Coleman goes back to a back four is going to be very, very interesting, knowing that Portugal love to grind out a draw as well. And Wales will actually be the first newbie team, of course they're making their debut at Euro 2016, to make a semi-final since Sweden all the way back in 1992. So Chris Coleman's boys, you've been amazing, and what a performance to see off Belgium this was.
It's an incredible achievement for a team that as recently as 2011 were languishing down in 117th place in FIFA's world rankings. They've been absolutely incredible, and they've got one of the world's superstars up front for them. So now we will see Gareth Bale face off against Cristiano Ronaldo as Wales face Portugal in the semi-final.
So that was our analysis of the quarterfinals of Euro 2016. But from what you've seen, guys, who do you think is going to go on to win, and who do you think is going to be top scorer? Let us know in the comments below.
And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to check out our most capped footballers 11. It features one Cristiano Ronaldo. You might have heard of him.
And as always, guys, please do like and subscribe.
Catch you next time.